What's going on, my dudes? Chensleo11 here, and welcome back to another episode in the A to Z series. Today we are playing Irelia. So Irelia, before we get into her abilities and whatnot, and if you're new to the series, what we do in these videos is we make sure we go through all the abilities, the current runes, and the items on this current patch. But before we get into Irelia, I just want to make this clear. Irelia is a very, very difficult champion to play, and in order to get at a reasonable comfort zone on her and to perform, you need to put in a lot of time. So getting the gameplay for this video was very, very fun because, again, these high skill cap champions are very, very fun to play and they make the game very interesting. But just bear in mind, if you are trying to pick up Irelia and you're new to the game, I don't recommend her for very, very new players. But if you're looking for something fun to play and something to grow into the champion or something that will be... will make you feel good when you start to master her. Irelia is one of those great champions to one trick or main. But if you're new to this series and you're not sure what we do here, we are going through every single champion in League of Legends and we're giving you a basic guide on each of them. And we're up to Irelia. So we're a little bit of the way into the A to Z. We're pretty far in. Getting near the middle now. And I'm loving this string of these split pushing top laners, which is what we have here, Irelia. So this is a bit of a fun game. It's a long game, so strap yourself in. And the reason why I picked this game is, number one, I get very far ahead, but I make some very big mistakes against the enemy team and the Ziggs, I guess. And I want to point them out and make sure that you understand how to split push, how to press your advantage. As always, when you're playing any top lane champion, you want to try and farm. If you can get yourself a lead, go for it. Ziggs is very squishy if we can get on top of him, but obviously he has the range advantage. So just quickly before we get into the runes, get up to 5 stacks. We'll explain in a moment. Get straight onto the Ziggs and get a nice trade in to get an early advantage. But first, we're going to explain the runes that we've taken. We've taken Conqueror. Again, it synergizes a lot with Irelia's passive, which we'll get through in a moment. It's all about stacking up these stacks and making more damage on your auto attacks. Presence of Mind increases your mana regen. You tend to run out of mana a little bit in the early game. This will just make sure that you don't. Again, these runes, you can mix and change these secondary runes, but Conqueror is the main thing. Bloodline, you get a bit of life steal. You deal more champions while you're low health for last stand. And then Domination, gain a burst of lethality, magic pen after a dash. Obviously very, very strong on Irelia, as you'll see with her Q. So that's sudden impact and unique takedowns. Ravenous Hunter, unique takedowns grant permanent life steal, Omnivamp on ability. So that's that. Then you go to Adaptive Force plus the armor runes. So, a little bit of a standard laning phase, nothing too crazy happening so far. Just trying to farm out as best we can. We've taken Q level 1, we've taken E level 2, and then W level 3. And we'll go through the abilities in a short moment. But that's the basic order of how you pick up your abilities. It's also the order that you max, so Q, E, W. And then you start Doran's Blade and you grab a potion. And we're going to be going Blade of the Ruined King on Irelia. And then second item, we are going to be going Triforce. Just bear in mind there are other builds that you can go Immortal Stormbow. Just remember, if you're going Stormbow on the build that I would have put up on the screen, you can't actually go Sterix Gauge and Stormbow in the same game because they have the same passive. So we're getting a nice gank from our Skarner, 315. We know the jungler will be topside because the Scuttle Crab spawning. We get Ziggs' Flash. Now that's massive. Ziggs has a little bit of self-peel on his Satchel Charge, but once we get his Flash, we know we can go straight on him. I'm trying to land a stun, which I do, get straight back on him. Missed my W, unfortunately. So that's that Satchel Charge to knock him away. But our jungler is here, gets a nice stun, IQ straight on, and we get the first kill. So thanks to the jungler, we are very, very set up now. We can control the lane. Going to ask to get this pushed out for us. And again, maxing Q. So we're going to start off with the abilities now. We're going to start off with Irelia's passive. Now, Irelia's passive is something that if you've never played Irelia or you don't know what her passive does, this is good for you because this is a very, very important passive. See under Irelia's health bar, those bars are filling up. So that's 4 now. And then when we finish off this last minion with an ability, it goes to 5. So basically, it's called Ionian Fever. And basically, you gain a stack every time you use an ability on a minion. See how they're stacking up when we're hitting minions with abilities? Or if you auto-attack an enemy champion. Now, auto-attacking a champion will refresh these stacks, because you can see there, if you don't auto attack or land another ability, they fall off. So what happens with these stacks? So as you get the stacks built up and up and up, you're getting increased attack speed. Obviously, attack speed is good because if you can attack more often, you can do more damage. So that's very self-explanatory. The second part of it is when you get to max stacks or 5, there's that shing noise. That's when you've hit max stacks. At max stacks, your attacks do bonus magic on-hit damage, right? So very, very strong. Basically, if you're laning against an Irelia, if she's getting stacked up to 5, try and let them fall off. And you can see, if you can't see it under her health, but I can't remember if you can see it, you can just click on her icon. So on the Ziggs, we got him top left on the screen. You can see his passives that are currently stacked. And you'll be able to see the number of Irelia's stacks. So we're trying to get on top of him. We're trying to stack up a passive as quick as we can. So now we got the passive stacked. So now when we auto-attack, we do on hit. And we go a little bit too ham to get this kill here. So a little bit too aggressive and we end up dying. Not sure if I clipped an auto-attack. I think I definitely could have played that better. And I've given us the Blitzcrank emote to show that I wasn't happy with that one. But that's okay. I just feel that if I get ahead of this Ziggs, even though I'm giving him the gold, I know I can press it out. Plus we have the teleport, so we're not going to miss too much for it. So it's not too bad of a trade, especially if Ziggs doesn't come back to get all the minions that he's missed. We're still going to end up ahead on that trade. But wasn't clean. But that's okay. So that's Irelia's passive. Very simple. The next ability is Irelia's Q. Now it's called Blade Surge, and I just used it there. And it's Irelia's bread and butter ability. It's that little dash I'm doing. See that dash? So basically, Irelia dashes to a target and does damage to them. Now, if the target is killed, so for minions you use it to last hit, your cooldown is basically refunded, right? So what I try to do is I try to order the back line a few times, and it depends how far along in the build. Obviously, the more damage you do, the more damage your Q will do. Sorry, the more items you have, the more damage your Q will do. But you can use this to close the gap on the Ziggs like I just did there, and then go perfectly on a trade and get onto him, right? Use the ultimate, but he gets away with a satchel charge. But that's exactly a perfect situation with the Q. You use it to get onto a minion. Because the minion dies, it refreshes the cooldown, so you can use it to get onto the enemy champion that you're trying to get onto. Some other things with the Q that you might not know. If you land the E, which is that ability there, or the first part of your ultimate, it marks the enemy champion. And if you Q that champion, it consumes that mark and refreshes your cooldown. So if you're good, you can actually get 3 Qs off on one champion, right? So you can land your stun, which is your E, which I'll explain in a moment, Q in, hit your ultimate, Q again, and then Q a third time. The third Q will put the Q on cooldown, its actual real cooldown, which is very, very long. So here I just decide I'm 2 levels on the Shen, I can just take him on with a 1v1. Try to avoid auto-attacking when he has that shield, and then we just destroy him. So this is just all about knowing your power level. I'm 2 levels up on him. I know that the Shen is nowhere near going to be able to be strong enough, especially if I get the stun on him. So I can just go pick him off, get myself 300 more gold, put him further behind, which helps my team, and stay ahead of the Ziggs. All right, so that's the Q. Very, very simple. The dash is a very important part of Irelia. It's what makes her extremely strong. Some other things about the Q is it heals Irelia when you complete the Q. So in these fights, if you can stun heaps of different people and you get low, you can Q to all of them and get a lot of healing out, especially when you have a lot of Omnivamp. All right, so right now we're trying to put pressure on the Ziggs. I'm not sure if I show you his CS at some point, but we're CSing relatively well. What am I trying to say? Especially because we've died already. So we're not doing too bad. We're just trying to wait to see if the Ziggs will get baited into this bush. I think he sees us. He might have a ward in there. That's okay. So this is a pretty good opportunity now to, depending on how you like to play, if you think you're confident you can take on the 2v1, you can just push and try and get tower plating and try and get a dive off. But if you want to play it safe, you can also let the enemy laner push into you and then kind of freeze the wave. And what that means is you let the wave sit in front of your tower. So then this Ziggs will be very, very uncomfortable, especially against like an Irelia who can dash to the back line and get on top of him. And then he has to run all the way back to his tower. We could probably kill him. But the tower plates are worth half a kill anyway, and they're good for the team. Because if we can get this tower down, everyone gets the gold. So now I'll let him auto-attack me here. And you can see my minions just aggro him. So he's getting really low. So that's why I do that. The tower shot was unnecessary, but that's fine. We're just trying to get this tower down as much as I can. Now this is very risky, especially if you don't know where the jungler is, because he can just come and gank and you're dead. So only do that if you're extremely confident. But if there's a massive wave built up under the tower, let them auto-attack you. All your minions will start attacking him. and then you won't get the... Unfortunately, I just missed out a tower plate there. Probably should have gone and grabbed that. All the minions that are aggroing the tower will auto-attack him, and then they'll just out-damage you. Especially very, very early game, it's a very good strategy. Alright, so this game, I would have put up steel caps in the item build to recommended, but against Ziggs, which is a bit of an unorthodox top lane pick, who obviously does magic damage, we're just going to go Merc Treads to make sure we can dominate him. And then also it's good against CC in this game. I can't quite remember who the mid laner is, but Kai'Sa and it's Shen, right? So there's quite a little bit of CC, but not an amazing amount for you to be able to think, oh, I should definitely buy Merc Treads. Steel Caps probably would have been better for scaling into the late game, but it is what it is. I went for the 1v1 matchup. All right, so we know Skarner's topside, so if we can get a nice shove out, we can hopefully gank the Ziggs and kill him. But that's the Q, guys. It dashes, it resets if you get the kill, does physical damage, it heals you. It applies on hit as well, which is important if you get your stacks up. Let's see if I can show it here. See how that Q had a bit of an on-hit damage, the 9 on-hit, the 56 on-hit. So that's that Q applying on-hit when we have 5 stacks. And your stacks will turn gold as well from your passive. Alright, so we're just dominating this top lane. 90 CS at 11 minutes is actually very, very good. We've doubled his CS. We've obviously got a couple kills on him. We can almost insta-kill this Ziggs every single time, right? Because we're way ahead of him. Making sure we're warding so we know where the Shen is. Now this is where the Ziggs makes a mistake. Comes into us. We missed the stun. We use our ultimate. Now, I screwed up because I could have used my ultimate to... I think we're going to die here. Yeah, we get the kill and we trade. I could have used my ultimate before I queued. That way I would have had 2 Qs. I would have queued him and not died. So this is what I mean when you're playing Irelia. Although I got really far ahead and my mistakes were able to be covered up... Again, hit the Blitzcrank emote. My mistakes were able to be covered up by the fact that I'm very fed. But if I was even there, I would just die for nothing and that'd be bad. Skarner ripping the Xin Zhao into the tower. So, that's what I mean when I'm playing Irelia. I'm definitely not the best Irelia player in the world. I'm terrible. I'm just here to give you a basic guide on the abilities, right? And hopefully have a bit of fun gameplay and at least teach you something. That's the goal of these videos, right? But, always looking back on your own videos, if you can, if you like to record, to try and get better yourself. So, bit of a TP. I don't remember it being a very good TP. I think it was pretty bad. So, if there was a deeper ward, like in this bush to the right, it would have been an absolutely amazing TP. Would have got a triple kill for sure. But they reacted very well, the enemy bot lane. And there's no dragon up, so this is actually a very bad decision. So this is another thing I want to make in this video. I make a lot of bad decisions macro-wise, and by macro I mean like game-wise, not micro. I do make a few of those mistakes too, but I make a couple macro decisions that are wrong. And I just want to point them out when I do them so you guys can learn. So that TP did nothing for me. I wasted it on cooldown. I put a bit of pressure on the enemy bot lane, which maybe saved my bot lane. I relieved a bit of pressure, but what it's done is now it's allowed Ziggs a little bit of free reign, a little bit of free farm, and he might even get a plate off that as well. So, not the best TP. If we got some kills, it would have been good. So, you want to try and do a risk assessment. It's hard live in a game. It's obviously easier after the game to have a think about what you've done, and which is why I always recommend if you're really trying to get better. He's taken 2 plates, terrible. If you're really trying to get better at League of Legends, record your own gameplay or watch your own replays and have a think about what you've done, what you could do better there. So the center is doing work. The Kai'Sa is just going to get out, I think. But that's that, guys. That's the Q. We're gonna move on to the W, which is your last max. It's called Flawless Duet. So sorry, it's called Defiant Dance. That's the E, Flawless Duet. As we make it back to lane. Let's see if we can get onto the Ziggs and try and kill him for being overextended. Trying to land the snare, but I don't quite get it. So we hit the ultimate. Bit of a waste of an ultimate now that I look back at it. We're probably going to die in the tower again. We're going to go to the Shen to get me out of the tower range. So this is actually good. I think we're going to get a double kill here. Yeah, because the Shen's going to go back in, give me the Q resets, and it's all over. So we get the double kill. And again, I played that bad, but because I'm fed, it makes me look good, right? So obviously you can watch that back and if you play a lot of relay, you can write a comment and say what I could have done better there. But end up with a double kill by pushing the tower. So we're going to explain the W, Defiant Dance. So there it is right there. Sorry, no it wasn't. The Defiant Dance is the ability that you sweep into it. I just hovered it there, the ability range. You hover it and then you poke your blades out in a line. It's a little bit of an ability that has a bit more utility than you might expect. It obviously does damage, but basically Irelia charges up her blades, and while she's charging, you take reduced damage, right? So you can use it in the middle of a fight if you think key abilities are about to go off to dodge some damage, and then release it to explode it out. And the longer you charge it, the more damage it does. So the damage portion of it isn't amazing. The main reason you use it is for the damage reduction and also to stack up your passive quickly, right? Especially against minions. So you see I used it there on the red buff. It just stacks me up. So whenever I'm trying to take objectives or monsters or whatever, auto attack using abilities on whatever it is stacks my passive up, and then obviously increases my attack speed. And if I get to 5 stacks, I get the on-hit damage as well. So you're always trying to stack your passive up. But that's basically all it is with the Defiant Dance. Obviously, at maximum charge time, it'll go off automatically, but you can just let go of W and it'll go off as soon as you let go. I think the charge time is a maximum of 1.5 seconds, but the maximum damage potential is at 0.75 seconds. So you don't actually have to hold it the whole time for it to get the maximum damage output. But that's just something you could know if you play a lot of Irelia. So that's the W. Again, we're just talking about the game quickly. We've pushed in, we've taken the tower. Now we're just trying to take jungle camps off the Shen. I know right now that the Shen is scared of me, and he's died twice to me. Thanks for the leash from the Ziggs there. So he's not going to be looking to try and gank me unless he knows he can kill me. So he's a bit worried. And we know we can kill the Ziggs. So we're pretty safe up here. Ideally, you could switch to like a blue trinket to get deep vision. Or just go walk and get yourself vision. So you're a bit safer on the split push. But this is what I really love to do, is just split pushing. Her team fight is very strong, but it's hard to pull off, right? Because it's mechanically difficult. When you're playing against one enemy champion, it's a bit easier. So we use that Q to get onto the back line. And then we Q back onto the Ziggs after we stun him. So that was actually very, very good. And I also layered my ultimate as well to get another Q off. So that was perfect. So very, very good there. So we're going to explain the E as we kill the Ziggs again. Okay, so the E is called Flawless Duet. And it's the ability that I'm using right now. And it's those two blades that go kshung and they meet each other. So basically you put out a blade, and then if you don't recast the E to put out the second blade appears on where Irelia is standing. So those two blades that go out, and then after the second blade's been put out, the two blades do like a cross, and then any champion within that cross gets stunned. Also, remember, it applies the passive from your Q, which allows you to Q to that target for free, essentially, without using your cooldown. So the basic way you trade with Irelia, or you try to get started, is you try and land that stun. That way you can stun them and then Q directly on top of them. But because you've hit the stun, you get a free Q. Your Q's back off cooldown. Then you can Q really quickly. And you can throw an ultimate there. Okay, let's see if we can 2v1 there. So we Q onto the Z. We've unfortunately put our Q on cooldown. We flashed the Ziggs ult, but you can see their auto attack's doing damage now because we've got Conqueror plus 5 stacks. And that flash was actually really, really nice there to flash out of the Ziggs ult. People must think I'm an absolute monster. But I assure you I'm terrible at this game. That was just a panic flash and it ended up working out okay. But yeah, this is what Irelia's strong at, right? Staying in the side lane and getting an advantage and just absolutely dominating a lane. Again, as I said, the team fighting on Irelia is good, and it's really good if you can land massive AoE stuns for your team with your E, which is the ability we're going through now, or a big ultimate. But it's just hard to pull off. It's hard mechanically to do, right? So I find it easier to get the wins by just absolutely demolishing top lane. Or mid if you want to play really mid, who can do, but it's just a little bit more difficult. Obviously, the E does magic damage, and it scales with magic damage. It has a really high magic damage scaling ratio, but obviously you're not going to be building AP on Irelia. Let's see if this TP is a bit better. I'm trying to push my advantage, but it looks like the enemy team's going to... Well, we get the stun on the Kai'Sa. We should have tried to ultimate. We're getting absolutely murdered by CC. That ultimate and then Q straight on to just burst him. I think we're going to die there. The center just missed out on the hill. Very, very close. But I think we're going to get a double kill. So that's... Although we gave a kill to the Nautilus, who doesn't really do well with gold, right? Because he's a support tank. It doesn't matter. We get 2 kills for the bot lane. Plus we're going to get the tower here. So that's a very, very good trade. Obviously, I could have not died and it would be even better, but it's pretty good. Just letting my AD carry know to ward the bush. They both do it, so that's good. Just worried about the other two, Xinjiao, the mid laner and the jungler coming to collapse on them. Just letting them know to play safe. Alright, so that's the E. As I said, the best combo is E, Q directly on top, then ultimate, then QQ, right? Because you'll go through your maximum amount of Qs, and then you can throw your W in there somewhere to try and dodge damage. That's the basic trading pattern. So now with that, we're going to explain the ultimate, which is Vanguard's Edge. So I've used it a few times. Irelia launches these blades that go out, and the initial part of the ultimate does a lot of damage. It's magic damage. At level 16, it's actually a very significant amount of damage. It also, the initial part marks any champion hit. So again, stacking up that, marking them for your Q so you can get the quick reset on the Q. So it makes it very, very strong as an engaging tool if you miss your E, if you know you can still get them. And here, when you're chasing someone, just Q to minions, especially backline minions if you're strong. You know you can one-shot them with your Q at this point. Then you can Q to the backline minion and then Q directly onto the champion without losing your cooldown. But basically, yeah, you throw out that initial burst of blades on the ultimate. It reveals them, and then it leaves these blades on the ground, right? So when the blades are on the ground, if an enemy walks through those blades, they're massively slowed and they take magic damage. The slow is incredible. The slow is almost like a stun because it's a 90% slow, right? Unless they have some tenacity or slow resist rather. So it's actually very, very significant, and it allows you to kind of like lock up champion in place. So that's what I mean why it's very good for team fights. I use it basically to do a burst of damage and get a Q reset as my team gets the dragon. This is very good. Yeah, it's very, very good. A very strong ability. I want to see if I use it here. I'll probably use it here. If I hit that stun, I would have just Q'd and then ulted and then Q'd again. But it's getting a little bit, not scary, but it's getting a bit close now because Ziggs is starting to get a bit of AP. So I knew if I knew I was going to be matching him the whole game, I definitely would have gone Merc Treads, and I did go Merc Treads. But in hindsight, it would have been okay to go Steel Caps, especially if the Ziggs wasn't matching me all game. So right now, there's a bit of a scruff in my jungle. I should probably go help out, but my team manages to get the kill anyway, so it doesn't matter. Now the Nautilus is here to help. I could probably kill the Nautilus and the Ziggs. It's just the CC. The Ziggs might be able to burst me down. So we have to play a little bit safe. We're drawing pressure. It allows my bot lane to farm for free, my mid laner to farm for free, my jungler to do what he wants. So drawing pressure as a top laner is very, very good, especially if you don't die like we did in there. It really relieves pressure off you for your team and makes the game a lot easier. So that's all the abilities, guys. Very, very fun champion, guys. Her combos are very, once you know what's going on, her combos are very simple. So again, E first, Q in, then ultimate, then Q again, to put it on cooldown. By then, you've probably bursted the target. So we missed the E. We're going to use our ultimate there, and unfortunately, we just get done by the Kai'Sa. So missing the E cost us that kill there. And again, playing Irelia, I had a lot of fun recording these games for the video here, and it makes me want to keep playing her before moving on to the next champion. But you can see, even this far ahead, I can still die because of micro mistakes, right? Micro as in mechanical mistakes with the keyboard and mouse. So you need to be very confident, and if you can get ahead, it makes it a lot easier. But if you're going even on, or you're going behind, you're going to have a bad time in Irelia. And there's a reason why her win rate, especially in lower elo, is very low, is because she's hard to play. So right now I'm just looking for the TP, and I remember this moment here, thinking, oh, I'm going to TP and kill everything, and then I push it, and I realize my whole team's dead. So this is actually pretty funny. I'll let this play out. Something, I'm just going to kill everything. Let's just kill the tank first for no reason. Should probably go for the DPS. So we get one. We're trying to reduce damage income, and then we're just gonna die. So horrendous. I know. Yeah, I zoom in and I give myself a question mark because this is the thing when you're ahead, right? If you're ahead, but the game is relatively even, it means that your teammates may be behind. So you can't be doing dumb shit like that because you'll just lose the game. And this game would have finished much quicker if I was a bit more switched on and thinking about my decisions. But I was just like a kid in a candy store in this game. I was having fun. I was like, I'm going to just TP in, just kill everything, get a penta. No worries, I'm fed. And yes, maybe if I was a challenger Irelia one trick, I might have been able to do it, but definitely not that. So I want to just point out mistakes when I see them, and that was obviously a massive mistake there. Wasting the TP, dying. I guess it slowed the only silver linings are slowed the enemy's mid lane push, which gave us time to recover and get a kill back, but obviously that was a big mistake. So let's talk about the build quickly. So we've gone Triforce second. Now I like Triforce second personally. I just like the damage it does, especially in when you want to just dominate a game, especially when you're fed. I like the damage output you get. But you can also go defensively and go Sterix Gauge as well. And then like get a GA and get the Immortal Shield Bow instead of the Sterix Gauge. I like this build personally. This is what I've had the most success with. And if you are curious about how to get good builds or good rune pages, what I normally do is I go to a website called u.gg and I have a look at, you can sort it'll give you the most common rune pages and builds for Platinum, Elo or higher, but you can change that to Masters or Diamond 2 and higher or Challenge or whatever. The sample size is a bit lower as you go higher up in the ladder. But that gives you a rough idea of what's working on Irelia at the current time. But then on that website, there's also a button on the top of the champion called Pro Builds. Now, the Pro Builds is what are the pros building in the last few days on solo queue when they play Irelia. So it's not what the pros are doing in the professional leagues, because professional leagues is a little bit different to solo queue. There's a lot more team play. So basically, when you're playing solo queue, that's a nice hook from the Nautilus. When you're playing solo queue, let's see if I can make it on the sake. Trying to go two-hand with a split push, and I get caught out again. So making a lot of mistakes here. So it's not the most perfect game. We are 11-6-1. So our score is not too bad. Our CS is not too bad. But we're making very big errors. But anyway, what I was saying was, in a solo queue environment, it's a little bit different to what you would build, right? So you go for the carry potential or things that are easier to pull off, right? Because you don't know who your teammates are going to be. You don't know what champions are going to pick. So this build is my favorite. I'd probably replace Steel Caps with Merc Treads in a normal situation, or unless they've got a lot of CC or they have a lot of magic damage dealing champions. In this game, I think the only magic dealing champion is Ziggs. We did 1v1 him for a lot of the time, so it's not the worst thing. But Steel Caps would have been better against the Kai'Sa and the Xin Zhao. But apart from the Xin Zhao, the enemy team scales pretty well as well. So we need to kind of be careful here because we need to close out this game. And I know Senna scales extremely well, and Yone probably does as well. I have no idea if the Skarner scales. I'd never see Skarner. He's just a nice tank to have in the team. Good for grabbing the enemy threat. But we need to kind of close out this game. And the thing that I'm doing incorrect is the split push there was good because the dragon was up, but I didn't wait for my team to get in position. See how my team is all mid now? This is when your team is in position. They can do something on the map if I draw everyone to me right now. So if what happened to me earlier happens now near their tower, my team could just grab the Baron for free because they're all going to be there. They can quickly burst it down. All right, but now I see everyone on the map. I see 4 mid. I see Ziggs top. So let's try and push and get something for our team. I'm trying to open up the base. And as soon as they go missing, I back, right? So I would have been okay if I waited to see them on that vision in the ward in the river. I still would have got out okay. But just mentally, if there was no vision there, you wouldn't know where they are. So as soon as they go missing, assume they're coming to kill you. Now, split pushing is something I've done a lot in the last few videos because I just happen to have split push champions all in a row. So if you're struggling with split pushing and understanding how to do it, I don't do it the best, but I think I do it at a passable level. And I allow my team to get advantages. So we get caught on a ward there. We're just going in for no reason. Thinking about this now, it's a silly decision, but I think we're going to be okay because the team follows up and we're going to end up getting a kill. And then the misfortune in the choke point with a nice ultimate. I think the owner's going to clean up and get that kill there. So right now, I guess going in and knowing that I could just not die allowed my team to come and close and get 2 kills. And then I'm pinging the Baron. So normally you'd like to push mid before you go the Baron, just so there's a bit pressure mid lane, so that if the enemy team don't come, they might lose a tower or they have to go through. Plus the vision we get. So now we get vision of the Shen because of that because of the pushing the wave. I take out the blast cone and I put a ward over just to make sure we get it, because we know the Shen is alive. So there's a little bit of a risky Baron. Risky in the sense that we can definitely kill it, but the Shen might be able to steal it. Fortunately, we managed to sneak the Baron there and get the Shen, so fantastic for us. And we're just going to back, and I think my back got cancelled for some reason, because I remember I'm just standing in the pit and not moving, so a bit of a fail for myself. But yeah, getting the pick into Baron is a very classic move in League of Legends. So we pick 2 champions and we go take the Baron. And now we take that off the enemy team's ability to win the game. Like, they don't have that Baron now. We've got the Baron. Obviously, the Baron applies a very, very good buff, and it's very good for a split pusher. So right now, you can do one of 2 things. You can split push and try and take as much as you can, or you can sit with your team because you do have the Baron buff. If the enemy team, I just always split push because I like the strength split pushing gives you. Because I'm in a side lane constantly getting farm, my farm is actually really high. I know it's dropped off a little bit because I've been running around like a headless chicken lately. But it just allows you to stay up ahead in farm and your level. I'm level 17. I don't know what the level of my enemies is, but you can see the level of my teammates. I'm a couple levels ahead of everyone, in some cases more than that. So I'm going to push top, and then I don't see where they are, so I just want to make sure my team's okay. This Scuttle Crab would be a nice grab, and I think I'll do it. So make sure when you're taking a Scuttle Crab, if you have a stun in your kit or a form of CC, stun it first. It removes the shield if you didn't know that. And then I grab that. More so for the ward. Jungler was probably pretty annoyed that I took his money. We can see the Ziggs coming, and I didn't quite see the Nautilus. But they're going to back off anyway. The Skarner is coming as well to help. But I was trying to quickly go kill the Kai'Sa. So this game here, the Kai'Sa is the threat. The Kai'Sa scales, the Kai'Sa does the DPS. The Ziggs obviously is a good target to get on top of, but we know he's a little bit behind because of how badly we demolished him in lane. So we want to try and get on the Kai'Sa. If we kill the Kai'Sa, we win the team fight, essentially. Unless the team fight goes very, very badly before that. But if we can get on top of the Kai'Sa, kill her early in the fight, my team will be able to win the fight. Okay, so this is more of the grouping style of Irelia here, because we're trying to group for this dragon, because I don't want to risk losing the dragon here, which we end up getting. The Shen was there for a steal. We end up getting the Q, the stun, and then the ultimate to reset it. I should have gone after the Ziggs here, but I went to go protect the team. I end up just killing the Ziggs in the end. Anyway, just auto-attacking him to death. So we end up getting onto the Ziggs. And nice Zhonya's. Probably a bad decision. Probably wasted my Zhonya's. I think I was dead anyway. But actually, you know what? It allowed us, our center to get the kill, but I think she's going to die anyway. So Zhonya is good for stalling. And if you are building a GA, which is what I'm doing now, that's why I have a Zhonya's or a stopwatch, I think it's good to use it, because if you're going to finish off the GA, which I think we might do soon, okay, not quite, you might as well use the active item. It didn't quite work out as well as I would have. A little bit of indecisiveness there. I ended up getting onto the back line and not peeling for my team and protecting them, so they ended up dying. Then I just got collapsed on the back line, and that was a good Ziggs stopwatch to stall to allow his team to get on top. So I probably could have bailed out the back and got out if I decided quickly, but I didn't. I wanted to green get the kill. But yeah, you can see this game is very even. 27 kills to 26, 5 towers each. We have a little bit more of the dragons. But you can see I have 13 of the 27 kills, right? So I'm very, very strong, but my team is relatively weaker than me, right? Even though the game is even. So I need to make sure that my team is safe, because I've taken a lot of that gold for the game, if that makes sense. All right, so I know we're getting into a little bit more macro theory and decision making here, not too much about Irelia, but I think Irelia is one of those champions you need to know this all on to do well, because if you just try and play her like a headless chicken, you're just going to end up inting and losing games. All right, so right now we're going to try and match the Ziggs' split push, and I'm going to quickly go through the abilities one more time just so we know what's going on. So the passive is when we're stacking it up and we get attack speed as we're watching this gameplay. Nice. It's a good flash. I was a bit too slow there. I think we're still going to get him. We get a stun. Q on top. Q's off, back off cooldown. So that's a nice pick for us. I want to try and get onto this Kai'Sa. I missed the W, and then I flashed the Nautilus hook. Yeah, but the Q is the dash, and that resets on a kill. Plus, if they have mark, the W is that damage reduction. and the also use it to do damage and get more stacks of your passive. The E is those two blades that stun. The R is the burst of blades that do apply the damage, apply the mark of the Q, and also do the slow if they walk into the blades. I haven't been paying attention. I haven't seen if anyone's walked into the blades. I walked past the control ward there. That was actually very bad. Someone did ping it as well, but I missed it. Wasn't paying attention. And I just saw the Shen coming now in hindsight. And then I don't know who that is pinging me back. Very good map awareness from them. It's probably the support. But we're going to back into this bush. But if the Shen tries to kill us, we'll just kill him. But yeah, I should have definitely taken out that control ward. But we managed to get out okay. So at this point, it's a little bit of a weird situation. A little bit of a stalling game. Because there's no objectives up currently, it's kind of weird, right? No one wants to die. Everyone's trying to farm. I'm just trying to get to the lanes that are having minions being presented. So right here, this is where the 80 carry should be probably sitting to grab these minions. But they're bot lane, so I'm just going to grab these minions quickly. And we do have the mid lane tower still available, the second tier, the tier 2. And I don't know if I want to quickly mention something about the passive. I think I mentioned it, but I'll quickly reiterate it. When you auto attack an enemy champion or an epic monster, and I think it includes the buffs as well, it like refreshes the cooldown of your passive. So like the passives, if you don't stack it up, they'll start to tick down, and every time you auto a champion or an epic monster, they'll tick back up. So we hit the ultimate on the Ziggs. He manages to jump over the blades, which is actually really impressive, but it doesn't really matter. We use our W on the minions to stack up and finish him off. Didn't need to, just something minor you can do. But this pick, if the Yone was with our team, this would be so good because the dragon's about to come off, but the Yone is with us, which is okay. Yone is good at split pushing too, but the 2 and 3 is a bit weird. All it'll do is draw pressure to us quicker because they'll be more worried about the tower and they'll be less concerned about the dragon. And then if 4 people go to the dragon, it's 4v3 at the dragon fight. Even though it's a 2v1 here, that's not the best outcome for our team because we want the dragon most of all. So we're trying to get the dragon without actually getting the dragon. So I recognize this and think, okay, I don't want the 4v3 to happen and we just lose dragon and our team gets triple killed. So I want to head down. I want to try and put pressure on mid as well while we're here and then go help out with that dragon. So the Xin Zhao is caught top. So bear in mind the Xin Zhao is the mid lane of this game. Bit of a bit weird. Because I just quickly thought, okay, the jungler's top, but he wasn't. So see how the Yone is with me now? This makes the dragon a bit weird. The Yone is going to go off, and in my head I'm thinking we're going to lose this dragon now. And we're going to lose everything, so I might as well try and get something for it. Try and kill the Xin Zhao or try and trade or something, but unfortunately the Xin Zhao just out-damages me, which is weird because he's supposed to drop off. Fortunately though, I think the Yone collapsed in time to secure the kills and get the dragon. So it wasn't all bad. I was playing over-aggressive there against the Xin Zhao because I thought we were screwed and I thought we were going to lose the dragon. I was trying to, Hail Mary, get something, try and get the tower there. But it ended up being okay. And again, we die again. 8 deaths. Terrible game for deaths. But I feel like it's a very good game to show what Irelia is good at. And there was a couple nice kills in this game as well, so I thought I'd throw it up. But yeah, at this point, I think we get the soul there. So that was soul. That was massive for our team. Yep. So we got the healing increase, I think, on that one. So this will make it much easier to win the game. At this point, the game's kind of over. We could have ended it a bit quicker. We could have got a dragon or 2 quicker and got the soul quicker. Or if I was a bit cleaner with my decision making, it would have been better. I am full build. I ended up getting the death stance just to round it out, to get a bit more life steal, so I can 1v1 harder. And yeah, guys, that's basically Irelia. I think she's a very fun champion. Obviously, I did mention the summoner spells. TP every time. If you're playing mid Irelia, you could probably get away with Ignite, but still, I recommend TP. Obviously, Flash. More or less take Flash with every single champion in the game. There are some niche picks that if you follow this series, I'll point it out, where you wouldn't take Flash, or you don't have to take Flash, rather. But for me, just a quick example of that is Yumi, right? She doesn't need Flash. She should be on top of champions all game. But Flash every time and Teleport. Teleport makes Irelia very easy to split push and get into team fights. So right now, my goal is to just quickly kill the Kai'Sa. If we can kill the Kai'Sa, this game's over. So I get on top of the Kai'Sa and with Yone's help, we execute the Kai'Sa. That nice ult Q was beautiful and this game's over. There's no way we lose a team fight even without Senna, with this Kai'Sa being dead. Very good ultimate. That's a good ultimate from the Ziggs as well. Shen's blocking our auto attack damage. So we're just going to move our attention to the Ziggs. And we get another kill. Unfortunately, we steal the Quadra from the AD carry, but that's fine. Pad our own stack. 16, 8, and 9. Very, very strong game in terms of KDA. Way too many deaths for how fed we were. But a good game to show that Irelia can be played, can be done well. And I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you guys all so much for watching. Remember to subscribe to the channel if you want to see more of these. And remember, at the end of the day, it's night time. Take it easy.